Well, welcome to Age Friendly, and of course it's the holiday season, and we really am pleased that you are joining us for the program. Kim McGibbon is my guest, and we're going to be talking about. I should identify that Kim is a public health and nutritionist from the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. And Kim, it's really important that we talk about food because that's really part of what holidays is about, is food.
We kind of love the food part of the holidays the most. Some of us, for sure. Maybe not as much the cooking.
Right.
Some of us might be over that part, but maybe some of us love that. We love eating a beautiful meal together with friends or family.
Got to be careful that you don't overindulge. That's the thing.
Well, I think we're all going to overindulge a little bit on the
Right.
holidays, and giving ourselves some permission to do that sometimes, and knowing that this is the holidays and this is our chance.
Right. I don't know that people, that's my opinion anyway, I don't know that people really sit down and think about nutrition at Christmas time. But we really need to do that at the same point.
Well, we want to make sure that we're still giving our body the vitamins and minerals,
Right.
the energy, the nutrients that it needs, and especially as we get older, right? We know that our nutrient needs go up, even though our calorie needs go down. So we want to make sure that the foods that we eat, that they count.
Right. One of the things that I've found out lately is the fact that vitamin D is really important for older adults. Mm-hmm. We don't get enough vitamin D, particularly in the wintertime.
Well, none of us do,
No.
particularly in the wintertime, for
But it
sure.
can
But there is a
help.
recommendation
Mm-hmm.
that older adults take a vitamin D supplement because they just can't get enough from food. Our bodies, we don't make vitamin D in the same way as we did when we were younger, and so we recommend 400 IUs of vitamin D at least a day.
Can you get some though from food?
Food, yeah. So some of our foods are sources of vitamin D, but the majority of, most of that's from fortified milk products, actually. But most of us need to get it from other sources.
So something to think about. I didn't mean to bring that in, but
it's great.
It's one of those things that I've learned about in the last little while, and it's so very important, particularly, as I say, for older adults.
Yeah, right, because we're not using it as well.
No.
And the other thing is that, vitamin D is really important to help us stay well. Plays a role in our immunity as well. And at this time of year, it's cold and flu season. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that we have all of those things that help to protect us. And vitamin D is one of those. We also know it works really well with calcium, right, to protect our bones. And, it's pretty icy outside. We're worried about falling, especially with older adults. So making sure we have strong bones to give us that standard before, any injury could happen is what we want. So making sure we have calcium and vitamin D together.
And really necessary. And make sure that you do that.
Yeah.
And you can get some of those at a fairly reasonable price. So it's looking after your health, overall health, which is so very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things, too, you think about is, as an older adult, when we're talking about food and nutrition and all the rest, is the cost. Sometimes people can't afford to buy what they would like to have or that they need to have, etc. Is there something that you would recommend for people?
Well, there are lots of tricks when it comes to saving money in the grocery store. So, one of the things I do, and we were talking about this as we were setting up our fancy table that we'll mosey over to later, is choosing things like plant proteins. So rather than meat per se, buying legumes, so lentils or chickpeas are the things that I have on the table, or even nut butters and eggs, right? Mm-hmm. They're inexpensive, they're easy to cook up or to eat, so it decreases the amount of work too in the kitchen, which is nice. So those plant proteins can be good ways to save some money in the grocery store.
Right.
And then buying things in season. So, at this time of year, squash, potatoes, carrots, beets, those are the things that are in season. Buying those can save you some money as well.
The other thing, too, is frozen. We're going to talk about that in the next segment a little bit, but how important it is to be buying frozen. You don't always have to buy fresh, which sometimes can be far more expensive.
Yeah, it's amazing actually, because I've just been to the grocery store today because I bought some food for us and was paying attention to the price difference of things that come in a frozen package. And there's no waste. If I buy a thing of broccoli, I have to peel some of it off. I like to still eat the stem, but you peel some of it off and you lose that. But what you buy, the amount, the weight in the frozen food section is what you get. And then you don't have the concerns around cutting and preparing that. Sometimes we might have some mobility issues, right? As we get older, maybe arthritis in fingers or wrists that we want to pay attention to.
Right.
If it's frozen, all ready to go, the nutrition is packed in there, right? When they pick it off the vine, they pack those vitamins and minerals in there. And as long as we don't overcook it so that the water starts to turn green or orange, then it still has lots of great vitamins in there.
Unfortunately, some people, I'm just going to change the subject just a little bit here. They wind up having, diabetes or something else. How does that impact for food over this season?
Yeah, well, there are lots of different chronic diseases that people may have that are diet related. So whether it's cancer, heart disease, diabetes, renal disease, they may have to alter their diets to do that. And there are lots of ways that people can find and tricks that you can find. Hopefully they've had a chance to see a registered dietitian to talk about their diet concerns and figure out how to plan that into their menus. So the tips that we've just talked about are great ones. Choosing plant proteins might be a concern if you have diabetes, because those plant proteins also have carbohydrates. So you may have to look to, the nut butters and the eggs as those types of plant and lower cost animal proteins.
Right.
Yeah.
People can be listening to our program today and be getting some of this information. Does the health unit have anything that's written down in any way or can you go on your website to find out more details about what you should and shouldn't be eating?
We have information, some general information about nutrition and health, not specifically related to those diet-related concerns. And I would, suggest that people go to diabetes health here in Thunder Bay, looking for people who have those specialties, and there are not-for-profits that have specialties related to the Heart Association and Canadian Diabetes, those kinds of things for those specific topics.
I think the biggest issue for people right now, at least that's what I'm picking up in the community, is cost. Is how do you manage that? And we know that how do people even get food? We did a program on the food banks, for example, knowing that more and more seniors are accessing the food banks. Is there other places that we can get food from?
Yeah, absolutely. So we make a resource at the Thunder Bay District Health Unit, and you can find this on our website. It's called Where to Get Food in Thunder Bay, and it will tell you both the north side and the south side, so depending on which side of town you live on, where you can get access to emergency food. So whether it's a hot meal at the Dewdrop Inn, Roots Community Food Center now has meals for seniors on Wednesdays at dinner time and Fridays at lunchtime, and those are free meals that anyone can access, seniors can access. And then there's also food hampers. So if you're looking for a food hamper, calling 211 is the recommendation. You spoke about some work you've just been doing, and so there are seniors and holidays hampers at this time. And so if you have a phone, you can call 211. If you have the internet, you can go to 211north.ca to sign up for one of those food hampers.
Well, stay tuned because we're going to have a short break, coming back with Kim McGibbon from who is the public health nutritionist at the health unit, and we're going to be actually showing you, so get ready, to see what we can provide for you for food and some nice, really nutritional items that you would be looking for over the Christmas holiday. Well, here we are back with Age Friendly, and of course all things related to the older population or the older adults or seniors, whatever you want to call yourself. Rebecca Johnson is my name. I'm the host of the program, and with me today, of course, is Kim McGibbon from the Public Health Unit, and we're talking about foods that you could be using over the holiday season. Actually, it smells really good here right now, Kim, to be honest with you.
That's right, because you're standing over. I made a little bit of turkey, just for fun. And also, maybe for dinner later.
And we don't have like a formal kitchen here
we don't have a kitchen
Rogers.
At all, actually.
No, we do well. We just get this set up. And the thing, though, that's really important is, do we have to have all the things that are on this table for a meal, or is it
not at all. This is just for fun to showcase some of the items and different food groups that we're having. Should we talk about my plate first before we start?
I would like to talk because it really looks good.
Right, and it smells good. It's the thyme that you smell on the turkey.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I picked that thyme myself in the gardens. So one of the things about the holidays, sure, you could show it.
Make sure our camera person can see this.
So we have a turkey breast, which I bought at the grocery store, because sometimes if you live alone, and seniors, even if you live one or two of you, you might not need a whole bird, right? A whole bird might last a little longer than you need. So I bought these 2 turkey breasts. This is only one, and they're like about a third of the price of a turkey, right? Because the breast is the best meat source, and it's probably going to be enough meat from that $11 that I spent to feed 4 meals, I would say, for myself anyways.
Well, that would be 2
That's definitely
meals
2 meals
for
me. And then I have another part in the freezer that I left behind. I only cooked the one for our demo plate today.
Right.
And then the other thing, I have a little bit of green and a little bit of orange. So we talked about how having green, gives you the folic acid and some of those beautiful vitamins that you get. I happen to be a big fan of the Brussels sprout, especially if it is roasted in the oven. Or in this case, the air fryer. So if people have air fryers at home, you can roast a Brussels sprout in like 10 minutes. It's amazing.
Well, tell me how you do them in the oven. I don't know
in the oven, I just toss them with a little bit of olive oil and some coarse salt, and then I pop them in the oven.
For a short period of time?
I don't know. They take a long time because I do them in the air fryer now.
Oh,
last year,
all right.
Speaking of Christmas, last year my daughter bought me an air fryer for Christmas, and it has been amazing. So I cooked those and this little bit of squash. And so we talked in the first segment about how you can buy vegetables frozen and how inexpensive and how easy it is, right? And it helps me eat more vegetables because they're just like ready to go.
Right, and you only use what you want to use instead of having a whole
Instead of having to cook the whole squash, which I will at Christmas. I'll cook this whole squash because other people will be over to eat.
Right.
But when it's just me at dinner time, I can take a half a cup of frozen vegetables, pop it in the air fryer, add a little green vegetable to it to go with my squash, and there it is. And then save the whole squash, for when you have more time to do some cooking.
The other thing is, I hate to admit it, but it's true. So as an older adult, which I am, it's hard to peel these.
Peel and cut. So my trick for that is to throw the whole thing in the microwave, poke it a couple of times with a knife or a fork, and then soften it first.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I will soften it in the microwave for a couple of minutes. You can do the same thing in the oven. I would do, if you don't have a microwave, you can do the same thing in the oven, poke it a couple of times, throw the whole thing in. You can cook the whole thing that way first, and then maybe partway through, you take it out. It's soft enough now. You run your knife through it, open it up, add in maybe some butter and brown sugar or some spices. Bam, ready to go.
That's very helpful, Ken. So you have a baked potato.
Did that in the microwave too. Yeah. A couple of minutes. Yeah.
And so this is your plate. And as I said, it looks really kind of Christmassy.
Yeah, it's very Christmassy. The other thing that's really fun that we tried to do is, I brought a placemat from home. Even if you eat alone, it's nice to make it festive and to make it pretty. So, you deserve great food, even if you're eating on your own. So, choosing the delicious things that you love, the things that are part of your home culture. This is mine. In my family, we ate turkey at Christmas. We definitely didn't eat Brussels sprouts because I was too picky as a kid. But I eat a little different now. But maybe at home, roast beef. A lot of families might eat roast beef for dinner.
Yes.
Maybe your culture eats lamb for holiday season things.
Or chicken.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Some people will have ham, right? So whatever your thing is, just jazz it up with some colorful fruits and vegetables. And, make it easier on yourself. It's easier to eat more fruits and veggies if we have them around.
Certainly one of the things, Scandinavian, I'm not Scandinavian, but my family, my husband's family is, and we tend to have fish and ham and that kind of, and meatballs for Christmas, because that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's very different.
That's what's fun, right? Every culture has their different thing. This is mine, so I brought it, to showcase today. And I put some, some festive colors and napkins on there too, because, I deserve to have a beautiful plate, just like everybody does.
I'll just give you a quick, when we had COVID, I was home because you couldn't go out anywhere.
Right, yes.
My son and his wife provided me with supper, which was lovely.
Amazing.
And I had to sit by myself. So what I did was, like you say, is I got everything off. I even wore my hat, like how you pull the crackers.
Right, the Christmas.
I put the hat on. I said, if I'm doing this, I'm doing the whole thing.
Do it up.
And you know what made me feel good?
Yeah.
But I said, I don't want to do that if I don't have to do that.
No, exactly. So,
but it was okay for one time. It was great.
Right. And some of us don't have family around at the holidays, so you can do that. But maybe you have neighbors or friends that you can bring together for a meal. Not only does it decrease the amount of food you have to prepare, right? Because they might share and bring some things, but it gives you that social connection. And the social part of food is my favorite part about food. I actually like to cook more with other people in the house. And so if you have other people that can encourage you to cook, there's actually research that says that we eat more fruits and vegetables when we sit down at a table with other people as
That's
well.
right.
So, you know, as a dietitian, how can I not
That's
support
right.
that suggestion?
Now you have your intern who has helped you set everything up today.
Yeah, so we brought some different
Abby
kinds
Syria,
of foods.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
Now I just want to talk about the fact that we've had this nice
oh
meal.
yeah, sorry. And
I
we
don't
have
want to
dessert. Don't
we
forget the dessert.
have dessert.
The holidays
And-
are all about desserts,
And
right?
Abby got this all organized.
Abby
for
cut
us.
up
So
some chocolate fudge.
Fudge.
So
It's
my mother is
beautiful.
not with me anymore
Right.
to celebrate the holidays with, but her fudge is here. This is her fudge recipe. And to be honest, this napkin was hers. So
Oh.
she used to have all these fun holiday napkins. So I kept them all. And so this is my mom coming to the table with me to celebrate with us. And
that's-
probably some of you are going to be happy to taste that fudge later.
And Kim, that's all you need. You don't need a whole pile, like a whole
there-
variety of desserts.
You
One
just
thing
need your
is enough.
favorites. Your favorites.
And that's a
right?
good thing
Take
for
your
the-
favorites.
That's right. Very important that we
absolutely.
do that. Now we're going to we have one more segment to do today.
Yeah,
but
we're going to talk about some of
yeah.
these other choices that might
But I
be
think
easier.
it's really, really important that we do that because people, you know, either maybe they can't afford to go on, seriously,
Yeah,
can't
absolutely.
afford turkey, or they don't eat meat for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
So give us a
I'm
couple
going
of
to
ideas.
talk about that and then also a little bit about, you know, maybe preparing a meal itself is hard for you. So what I do in my house, and so for a long, long time, I didn't eat any meat. We were vegetarian and my daughter still is. And so these are red lentils in this mason jar. I just bought a whole new bag. So I just brought a little sample. And I use these red lentils to make a lentil loaf, which is like a meatloaf,
right, yeah.
but costs a fraction of the price. I was trying to figure out what the math was on this. So it cost me $5.49 to buy 2 kilos of these. This is only a cup. And so this is what I would use to make a whole lentil loaf, which would feed like 12 servings, right? So that's like 30 cents or something for each slice,
it's not
as
too-
opposed to the $11 that I
Yes.
paid for the, you know, that's
That's
like
right. And,
$5.50 worth.
nutrition-wise, it would
Nutrition-wise,
be equally.
packed full of iron,
Yep.
has protein in it, has zinc, has some fiber because it comes from a plant. So fiber really helps with our digestion, right? Keeps things moving and can help with our blood sugar. We talked about blood sugar for folks with diabetes, can help regulate the blood sugar, having some protein-rich foods in there as well. And then before we move on from that, I want to talk about Meals on Wheels. So,
Yes.
you know, this beautiful meal could sometimes come to your door. So Meals on Wheels look very similar to this. They have 2 vegetable servings, some kind of starch. We have a potato here and some kind of protein. So if you can't make the meal or, you know, you have whatever is going on in your life, Meals on Wheels comes through Pioneer Ridge
Yes.
now, and the meals are $8. And you can call their number and find out a little bit about
Right,
getting on
and-
that list if you're interested.
And the other way to get hold of that is to go on the city website.
Yes.
And it will just type in Meals on Wheels and
Yep.
it will come up there as well. Now, we know that everybody doesn't have a website.
Right,
but,
computer,
but
yeah.
but there's ways of doing that. Kim,
Right.
we're going to have to conclude this segment, but we'll
Awesome.
come back very shortly with Kim McGibbon from the Health Unit. Well, here we are back with Age Friendly and cooking for the holiday, and hopefully you're enjoying it. Kim McGibbon, my guest today, and we're going to be talking in this segment about all the other ways that you can prepare foods at a very reasonable cost and that's nutritious for you. So, Kim, what do we do
What's
here?
all this stuff on the table,
Yeah,
Rebecca?
that's
Is that what you want to know?
that's basically what is all of this.
Well, we talked about seniors as they get
Yeah.
older, they have higher nutrient needs but less calorie needs. So we want to make sure that the foods that they eat have nutrient density.
Right.
So, and then, you know, I also want to make sure that they're cost effective. So I brought some examples. One of those things is protein foods. So we want to have good sources of protein. Eggs, you know, last time I did
Yeah.
this, you were like, there's no eggs in there. Don't worry, everyone. She's shaking them around. So making sure that, you know, eggs are great and easy. They're also really good if we have trouble chewing, right? They're soft and easy to eat.
And unfortunately, older adults
Yeah,
sometimes.
we might have dentures,
Yeah.
we might have, you know, and so they're easy to eat
That's
and
right.
easy to prepare. The same with things like canned tuna, so fish. So this is tuna, but also salmon. Makes for great sandwiches and lunches. And then canned beans. So you can't go wrong, right? With
No.
canned beans. Or these are chickpeas, so I use these in a lot of different recipes in my house too. It costs $1.50 for
Mm-hmm.
this can. Multiple servings of protein in this $1.50 worth.
And
of
with beans, you can do a lot with beans, like whether it's chili or whatever else. So
Absolutely.
there's-
Or these ones are just the beans and tomato sauce, so you can eat them on
That-
their own,
and that's
right?
just fine,
With
yes. Mm-hmm.
some, you know, round it up with some vegetables and some kind of starch, and then it can become a meal for you. So those are some examples of some good, you know, protein-rich options. But we also have other foods that we eat in the day. So things that we might want, you know, whole grains. So one of the things that us as dietitians try to encourage people to do is to eat whole grains more often. So this is a brown rice, for instance. You know, you can put that on to cook. It goes as a great side dish with your leftover turkey. And maybe it's turkey and rice soup, right? Because we want to talk about some leftovers.
And you could even use that rice instead of a potato.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I would do that all the time. And then other things, I don't know if people have tried couscous. Have you ever tried couscous?
Yeah, I'm not
It's
personally,
not your
it's not my
top
favorite.
Thing,
No,
it's
but
just
it's
different,
good.
so that's
It's
why I
fine.
brought it as an example to show people. Couscous is like, this is a whole wheat, a whole grain couscous used for salads. Sometimes I use it as a base for like a stir fry. I'm all about the leftovers, right? So where that turkey is going to be way too much for my meal today. So I'm going to cut some of it up, fry it up with some vegetables like these beautiful green beans and maybe some carrots, and then it can be a stir fry that I serve over top of rice or some couscous. I also really like quinoa.
I just like plain food.
Plain
really
food.
Plain.
Absolutely. And this is, you know, an example of that, right? Just tossed with a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of butter on the potato, some fresh thyme. So the other thing when we're cooking is, you know, adding some herbs.
Right.
Rather than adding a lot of salt or added fats, you know, I have thyme on the turkey today, and rosemary is a really popular one too, right, at this time of the year. So finding things that are not just salt to flavor our food is a great way to do
And
that.
this is really very reasonable. You can get those that are not going to cost you a lot of money.
Well, and you know what's really fun? My daughter just had her birthday, and she really wanted a rosemary plant. So her boyfriend found her a rosemary plant.
Right.
And so you don't need that much rosemary.
No.
If you have a rosemary plant, it can last
Just
forever. You don't have to buy it twice or ever again. You just keep growing it as long as you water it.
That's right.
Exactly. And then we wanted to think about, you know, sometimes we don't want to cook when, you know, we just want to eat something. And so crackers and cheese, right? We talked about, you know, good sources of calcium and vitamin D for bone health in the first part of our segment. And so if you have people coming over, you don't need to make a big something for them. You can serve some crackers and cheese.
Right.
Maybe you have some vegetables that you've already, you know, are already prepared and ready to go. You can serve those, or you could have them for your meal if that's what you want. My suggestion is always to add some fruit or vegetables.
And that's very important. That goes part of the nutrition. So you've got quick oats there. What are you doing to do with those?
I just think that quick oats are the kind of thing we should all have in our cupboard. A lot of these things are things that I would keep as what we call a basic shelf, things that you just keep in the cupboard all the time. So, you know, oats are great for breakfast, but they're also great for thickening things. So maybe you have some, you know, some leftover ground meat. You talked about meatballs being part of your family's tradition.
Yes.
So I often will use quick oats to also thicken things, like to make a meatloaf. And, you know, if you have people in your family that have allergies, oats, you know, don't have the gluten in them, so you might be able to use those. Often not quick oats, actually, because they're often processed in the same place as flour, so I did mess that up a little bit, but yes. And then the last thing I have here is yogurt. So yogurt is a great source of calcium as well, right? So, and it's easy. You can add some granola, which you could maybe make with oats, unless you buy it, which is what I do. And then add some berries. So I didn't bring any berries today, but I do have, you know, some.
Or you can buy yogurt with berries in them if you want.
You could buy yogurt with berries in them, but I like to buy a plain yogurt because I like to have it in my fridge to use it for cooking. Sometimes, like this week, I made mashed potatoes for my daughter because they're her favorites, and because we don't have sour cream, I can just use yogurt to like make them
more
creamy mashed
nutritional
potatoes. Exactly, it doesn't have the same amount of fat, but it's got all of the nutrients that we want. Yeah.
So one of the things that we talk about all this food, which is lovely.
Yes.
That's a great update on everything. But what about a beverage? What am I going to drink? I've got water here.
Well, I know we both have our water bottles on the table, and we
right.
did this on purpose because we want to remind people to drink. And as we get older, our thirst sensation goes down. So we don't remember to drink, that we don't feel thirsty. So it's really good to like have your beverage around you all the time. In our house, there's lots of tricks for how you can drink more. I carry a water bottle. It has bubbly water in it. You're also a bubbly water drinker, but you like yours with a little bit of flavor.
I do, yes.
Yours has some raspberry flavor in it, so that can help. Some people like a straw. If you have a straw, that can help you to drink more and faster. I also really like my water cold. I like ice in it.
I do too.
So if it's colder, then I'm more likely to drink it. So don't forget to drink more. I also I love to have a fancy glass, and I forgot to bring a fancy glass for our event today, but you know, maybe just drinking from a wine glass, even though it's bubbly water, you know, you can feel fancy, and that might help you to drink more.
You do that. You know, I'm alone, and so I do that on a regular basis. At supper time is I have, like, I like the Perrier water or whatever because it's bubbly.
Bubbles, yeah.
And you can add flavor or not, but it's really, as you say, Kim, important that you make sure that you're hydrated all the time.
Absolutely.
I don't know that older adults do that as much as they should.
And the other thing is that food will give us hydration too,
Yep.
right? So we will drink coffee and tea and we get hydration from that. These are my favorites at this time of year, right? Little Christmas oranges, sometimes people will call them. They're easiest to peel and they're very juicy and they're full of vitamin C, which helps us at this time of year to prevent some disease. And they're nice and juicy. So,
And we should have more of
they
that.
provide a good source of hydration too. So I'll be eating those later today.
Very important, though. Kim, this is great. It gives us an idea. So very important. Is there anything else that you feel that you would like to still tell the community?
We just wanted to talk about leftovers, right?
Right.
After the holiday season, sometimes, making sure that you have Ziploc bags so you can put food away. So what I did even when I bought this turkey is I put half of it in the freezer right away because I knew I wasn't going to eat the whole thing. So sometimes you might use it right away in a soup. We talked about making a turkey rice soup. You can even throw the leftover vegetables in that soup. An easy way to do that. Crock pots, if we're talking, I didn't bring the crock pot today. This seemed like enough stuff to carry, but a crock pot is a great way to, just have your soup simmering in the corner and not have to, keep an eye on it in the same way that you would otherwise.
Very important.
Yeah.
Kim, thank you very much. First for bringing everything, because it's much easier if we can see things than
more
not.
fun,
But anyway, now that we're coming to the end of our program, wishing everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a great holiday. And of course, now we've eaten all this food, it's important that you stay tuned for the next segment, which will be our 1-minute exercise with Linda DePiro. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Hi, I'm Linda DePiro, and today I'm going to teach you some techniques of body tapping. We're going to start by finding our navel, and we're going to go high to the right and low to the left. I'm using my fingers, they're pretty strong, as I kind of stimulate around this area. Why we are going right to left is that's the way our digestive system works. From here, I'm going to use fists and pound the pelvis a little bit here, all the way around. And from there, the quads are pretty strong, so you can still use fists or you can use your fingertips coming down to the shin. Now, I prefer bare feet because you can tap your feet better, and I also like the idea of grounding with bare feet rather than shoes. Going down the inner thigh, I'm still using my fists, always tap the toes. So, fascia. It requires movement, hydration, and body tapping. So this stimulates our, going down the outside, soft skeleton and connective tissue, deep and also superficial. Coming up, you can compare your lower body to your upper body. Wow. And then continue. Soft tapping through the rib cage, right? Along the collarbone, the back of the head, coming up, branching out. We will hit certain meridian areas that are very sensitive, like the ears and the armpit, okay? So I'm just gonna do one arm, and you can do the other one after, tap on top. You can either pound gently or tap. So meridian, like acupuncture points, it's been around for centuries. It has been proven to improve health and well-being. It can boost energy levels, better sleep, reducing stress, anxiety, strengthens the immune system. So keep on tapping and add this to your daily morning regime and before you retire at night.